Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Last Minute Kickout live review podcast. Well, it's live somewhere, but it's recorded
live
for you
when
guys.
We're recording it, yeah.
Yeah, but we are here as three bearded men who are undoubtedly cursed, like everyone at this show. Myself, John Turbo Finley, Pete, Titans Creed Nevercode. You're not gonna introduce yourself?
You did it for
React.
me. Why do I need to
Oh,
do
except
it?
react.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, I am the inescapable, forever cursed Pete Titans Creed Netherco. How you doing?
There we go. And Kev, the Kevin Eva.
Yes, the intro for the individual, and also the champ. Still, somehow, don't understand, but we'll go on with that.
Mm-hmm. And yes, we are here together for you tonight, or morning, or whenever you're watching this. Could be middle of the day. Who knows? Talking about AEW Cross, because everyone says X or Times or whatever.
Cross.
Cross. It's Cross. New Japan. Forbidden Door. Which, even though it had everything against it. Like, apparently God himself didn't want this show to happen.
Well, he's on WWE's payroll. We've established this.
Yes, we have established that. Overall, it was still a good show. It was a very good show, in fact, actually. It wasn't really that bad or terrible or, kind of like non-entertaining. I'm trying to think of a better word. But, no, what are you two's general thoughts on the show before we get into the meat and potatoes of this overview, review / whatever discussion?
What do you
I
think, Pete?
really enjoyed it up until the last two matches.
Well, that's a funny thing, because I really enjoyed it right up until the last two matches.
Wow. With that said, I'm
So
interested
good night,
to see how
everybody. Good night, everybody. We've done it.
So yeah, I'll be interested to hear what you all have to say on the show. Which, starting off now, anyone watch the pre-show? Because I didn't, sadly.
Of course.
I watched the buy-in.
How could you not watch the pre-show with everything that was on there? There was so many good matches on the pre-show, and it was actually a pre-show with matches and not a pre-show which was a preamble.
Yeah, it's like they've definitely filled the pre-show with a lot of matches to get people warmed up for the main show. So let's get right into it. With the first match here on the card being that of a tag bout between the New Japan boys, team of Chaos, with Hiroki Goto and Hashi, sorry, going up against the factory of QT Marshall and Aaron Solo. What do you guys thought on this little opening tag?
It was
All right, it did what it needed to do.
Yeah, it did what it needed to do. The crowd were happy. Started everyone off.
I would agree.
I think this was going to be a match which had the least interest because we haven't seen anything from the factory unless you're watching Dark or Elevation. And Bishamon, I haven't you got to remember this is a pay-per-view which is going to be very middling for a lot of people. You're going to have a lot of casual viewers to this which are really into AEW but have no idea about any of the Eastern wrestling or the Eastern wrestlers.
Based on from what I heard from many people's kind of reaction from the crowd and stuff like that, the crowd was well versed.
That's because this is an indie show for TV. Remember, you attract a different audience than WWE, which is why this wouldn't work in WWE because they have a different audience than what attends AEW.
The knowledge level is far superior, and we don't mean that, and I don't mean that in a mocking way. It just generally is. They're a much more smarter audience.
But would you think that obviously having this kind of audience would help a viewer who is watching this pay-per-view? They know about AEW, but then they don't know
How
too
is somebody in attendance who knows New Japan going to help somebody like me watching at home who doesn't know New
much. Well,
Japan?
if they react with a cheer or a boo or
So
some
you're saying that my reactions to a given product are based on somebody else's reactions. Is that what you're implying here, Mr. John?
Look.
That my reactions are
he's just pissed that there wasn't any piped in noise like he's used to.
Are you saying about me being pissed off?
Yes, that's what we're saying. Yeah, he's incredibly implying that about you.
But you actually raise a good point, and that was one of the best decisions they had on this pay-per-view was Kevin Kelly. Kelly on the commentary, who could give us the history of why it was. That
was my first reaction, I believe, was, oh shit, Kevin Kelly.
Who could give us the skinny on all the stories and why it's important.
In fact, I'm going to give props to the entire commentary desk of Taz, Excalibur and Kevin Kelly, because their commentary throughout the entire night was fantastic. And in fact, I think it dropped off a beat when Schiavone and Jim Ross actually went on that commentary booth. I actually think it broke up
the rhythm. It broke up the rhythm of it all.
It felt like the three voices immediately had less airtime because of that fourth announcer voice.
Yeah, it's interesting to note though that going forward, and I think we might well see Kevin Kelly make some other appearances down the line, because it was so obvious.
I think it was just specifically because New Japan more than anything else.
He'll have some contract with New Japan for the English commentary.
But we will see him again. I think whenever there's a one-off.
Same as why there was Caprice Coleman for the Ring of Honor tag one as well. Although that one didn't feel as affected, you know. Although I think Caprice was a little lost in the shuffle of voices there.
Yeah,
more than the other three.
He was fourth banana there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, back to the actual match between Chaos and the Factory. Just simple.
It was a match.
It worked all right.
Chaos got thrown a bone because Chaos normally get their asses handed to them and everything.
Well, they're always fighting against the Bullet Club back in New Japan.
They're always taking the L, basically. Yeah. And so it's like the team that always takes the L versus the Factory.
In a world where two teams of jobbers fight each other, one eventually gets a win.
Yeah, I don't think anybody had the team with QT Marshall on winning this at all. It was fun. There was some creative stuff in there. The crowd got the crowd into things, got things off underway.
All right. Well, let's swiftly move on to the next pre-show match with Nick Komoroto versus Lance Archer here.
It was actually more.
This was actually more fun. Actually.
This was actually more fun than I was giving it credit for, because it actually felt like. I mean, it was obvious who was going to win, because you've got Lance Archer versus, as we've just said, someone from the Factory. Even though Lance Archer just seems to be just a heavyweight jobber at the moment, he just doesn't seem to make any impact in any big title belts he's in. So
he just needs that decent kind of like push to get him started again.
Well, he doesn't have a spot. He doesn't have a spot.
He had a heavyweight title match. He lost it. He then won the New Japan US title, had it for 1 week on Dynamite, and didn't have it the next. Like,
he's lost. He used the same car that Jericho used that time. So who knows where it is?
I like the idea of Lance Archer. I do, and his promo stuff when he was coming in was fantastic. But he's just floating. More than anything else.
There's no direction for him. There's no.
I feel like he's going to be one of these guys who's when his contract runs out, it's just going to expire.
Quite possibly.
We've lost another one. We've lost another one of the Dark Order today. So
who?
Alan Angels' contract is gone. He's now on a per appearance thing. So
well, just wondering how long that'll last then for him.
Enough
but
to tie up some stuff.
It was good, but again, it was okay. It was a good match between two big guys, essentially.
Just simple filler to get through it. Fair dues.
These first two matches were literally there while the arena was filling up.
Fair dues.
It was matches to have, but you're not going to miss someone who you're really invested in seeing.
You're just not, unfortunately.
Well, the next match definitely has some notable names for the right timing, where we probably had filled up to most of its capacity. Suzuki Gun with the team of El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemura or Muru versus Swerve Strickland and the limitless Keith Lee. Who I love.
Say the team name. Say the team name.
What's the team name now?
Swerve in Our Glory.
I thought it would be like limitless
Stretching
Swerve.
for things.
No, Swerve in Our Glory was also their name on the Indies as well.
Oh, fair dues.
Still
yeah.
stretching. Really hard on that one. This was good. This was good. Good pace.
It was a very good match.
I'm sure Keith Lee was being his power self during this match when he was in hot, I guess, just throwing bodies.
Keith Lee was great in this. We'd had the backstory set up via commentary in a very quick sort of video package that there'd been some miscommunication and stuff may happen, but they also again set up on commentary really early on that watch out for Suzuki Gun. Their whole thing is they will pick on a body part and they will tear it apart. That's their thing. They're not going to do anything else. They're going to pick on something and that's it. And then of course that's what they did. And Keith Lee, got the knee in, the knee tweak. And then they went straight after that, and there was an awful lot of work went on with that, and it made sense because it's the old Big Show thing we used to see back in the day, where it's just like, you take out the knee of the big guy, and the big guy can't stand up at all in any way, shape, or form.
So that old chestnut of a story for a match,
but it was done really nicely. There was some miscommunication between Swerve showed some really good athleticism, I thought, as well, at points. There was an extremely funny moment where for God's sake, Lee got taken out to the outside. He was going to come back in, and then he got the old rope up into the testicles, and he let out such a squeak. And then rolled out again, and for the next like minute and a half, he was on the outside, just like holding his testicles, and the crowd were getting on him, and he was just like, "It really hurts." And even when he came back in for the next 90 seconds after that, he was still holding his testicles and selling them, even when he was taking a whole bunch of offense there.
But that's proper like entertainment value then for for a wrestling match. It's good on Swerve. He's getting that kind of like entertainment value and whatnot.
Yeah, Swerve and Lee doing good. What do you think of that one, Pete?
It's okay. I think I had to step away from that match. I didn't really see most of it, I'll be honest with you.
Fair dues. Well, with that then, we'll go to the last pre-show match, or the buy-in match, with Max Caster and the Gun Club of Austin Gunn and Billy and Colton Gunn, with Anthony Bowens, going up against Alex Cole. What?
Why can't you just say it? It's really simple. It's Billy Ass and the Ass Boys with Max Caster and Anthony Bowens.
Great, because obviously I'm quite the illiterate person here. They were going up against Alex Cotlin. Is that how you pronounce it?
No idea. I haven't got the list up.
Yeah. Kevin Knight and
DKC.
Yeah.
Oh, this was the LA dojo, wasn't it?
Yes.
This is the New Japan LA dojo. Which is
Now,
like
I believe,
American Young Boys, basically, isn't it?
I believe, what was it? 2 of each side was actually taken out of the match, so it ended up being a 6-man tag rather than an 8-man tag.
It was.
That's what I've heard.
It was a bit confused. It ended up being a handicap 4-on-2.
Danhausen basically appeared, and they aired the theme for Billy Ass and the Ass Boys that he had made, like about several months ago.
But it's not actually like officially been played on AEW or anything like that.
So
I have a present for you.
Austin and Colton ran out, and
like dumb fucks, they ran out. And then it's fine because apparently Max Caster and their dad didn't need them at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably feeding into this whole storyline more that Billy Gunn and likes Caster more than his own sons, that they're trying to build at the moment. So,
well, as has been previously established, Billy really likes the whole Billy Ass and the Ass Boys, which
it totally plays on his kind of like legacy, essentially.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
so
yes, we never got any follow up on this either. They just ran off. They never came back. LA Dojo, like I say, they're young boys, but from American signee young boys, basically, as a group, and they were there to, as normal young boys are in New Japan, there to take bumps, learn stuff, lay on your back and get pinned. And Max Caster got to look like a star.
Yeah,
it was pretty hot on the rap as well, as we come to expect from him. But yeah, not much to say other than Billy Gunn is really, really tall in compared to absolutely everyone else in the match.
Oh, he is quite a tall man.
He's a tall man.
I've heard the stories of how tall he is. But yeah, that was the shortest match of the night. So I can understand how you could have like thought that was like, you know, it is what it is, and it was just like it was probably the closest to a squash match time period anywhere on this card, I would think, you know, with how short it was. So yeah, so let's just move right into the main card with the Jericho Appreciation Society, Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara and Minoru Suzuki versus Shota Umino, Wheeler Yuta, and Eddie Kingston in a 6-man tag.
And again, we had a really good setup in terms of, why should we care about Shota Umino? His name is, he's Red Shoes' son!
Who?
Red Shoes, the famous New Japan ref. He always wears the red shoes. He's his son. And who? No shoe. And it was like, oh my god! And they cut back. They had New Japan footage of when Jericho was there and how he beat the shit out of him in front of his father and put him in the well, I think it was
that was the only way I knew he had some investment in this match was Retribution and Jericho. Which, to be fair, it's technically half the locker room at this point. Has some sort of vendetta on Jericho, so
I'll tell you what, I think Jericho is having a time of his life at the minute. He's
having fun.
Working with a lot of young talent that he wants to work with. He's working with a lot of senior talent.
I think he said that in an interview recently. The fact that he's having more matches with young talent, and that's exactly where he wants to be.
Yeah, and he looks like he's enjoying it.
I will say after the fact, because I watched Guevara's vlog this week. Ty Conti is such a Suki fangirl. She loved working that match.
Did she get hit again in this?
No.
I can't remember.
No, she stayed pretty much out of it, actually.
Thank goodness, because the last super kick that she took, oh boy.
Well, as I said on the last view, it was buried in her face.
Yes. Aye. So
there was
glad she didn't take a massive bump this time.
It was a good match. Really good to open with. I wasn't expecting this match to open, I'll be honest.
Everyone
having the crowd sing Judas makes sense, really, to heat everybody up. So,
as does Castagnoli, obviously.
Yeah, except once again, the announcers were once again talking over it, and so you could tell Suzuki had to heat up the crowd ready for the big jumping because they weren't very the crowd didn't do much of the singing because I've heard apparently they do a lot of singing throughout all of it, and it only seems like the crowd piped in for like the one. Point line
for the key moment. It was bloody loud though when they did.
Yeah.
But it was great to see everyone had a little moment. Everyone had their fights, a little storyline. We had like the free storylines throughout, if you like, which is that Yuta's going to attack everybody because he's Yuta. We've got Eddie Kingston just wanting punishment from the world.
The chop fiesta with Suzuki and Kingston was amazing.
It was great. I love
Suzuki no selling the machine gun chop.
Yeah, they're just like Eddie Kingston looking like at his hand, like what?
It's like it won't be the last time on this show where there was a little bit of no selling happening. Now we'll get into that.
But
I was more entertained that the minute they Suzuki tagged Jericho back in, Kingston had to try the machine gun chops just to make sure they worked.
Yeah, and then of course they immediately worked, and Jericho was like, "Oh my god, I want to get out of here." It was so good. There was a lot of respect. Kingston got his respect moments as well because the back fist of the future knocked Suzuki down.
That's what it's called. I cringed a little bit when they said
it's
that. It's
always been known as back fist of the future.
I have never heard it before that point, and I hate the name of it. It's so bad.
It's always been right back to Shikara days and beyond. It's always been back fist of the future. But that took him down. It knocked him down for ages. So it's little things like that, that are show the respect.
I will say one thing about this match that I cringed heavily when Suzuki hit that pile driver on Kingston, that Gotch style pile driver.
Oh yeah,
because the camera angle on it looked fucking horrible.
It made it look like he landed straight on his head. Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah,
because it like that could be very dangerous if done wrong. But of course, these are professionals, obviously.
Yeah.
So they should have had some sort of kind of like protection. It's just obviously doesn't help when the angle makes it look bad. And not look bad as in like it was done wrong. That it didn't look realistic. No, it made it look too realistic and make it worrisome for the audience.
The cameras were a bit odd. On this show, I thought half the time the camera angles were really, really good and on stuff like that, which were moves. But when that move was a kick, in this pay-per-view, how many times did we see a kick just like fresh air?
Quite a lot, especially towards the end of the evening.
About a dozen, I think. I mean, that's not counting the many kicks between Osprey and Orange Cassidy. There was so much fresh air in between half a dozen of these matches on kicks. It was really bad. But stuff like that, like when we saw the pile driver, part of it was the camera angle, and it just made it look really sick. And you were concerned, but I love the fact that everyone got their little moment to shine. As soon as we got told about the backstory, I think we kind of knew that Jericho was winning and who he was going to pin.
There was a little thing later on in the night where it's obviously building up for Jericho to go over to New Japan, I think, and have a feud with Umino as well.
There'll be something, or he'll appear again. I was like, it's clearly because he's one of the stars of the future for the company, and Jericho will want to do that, no problem, I think. But also, it's the whole he's the wizard.
Fuck that name.
It's too simple for him, really.
It's not about the fact that it's too simple. It's the fact that the fireball thing is shit.
I love it. I love it. I low-key love it because it plays into the whole... Oh, we're like totally sports entertainment. Look, my nickname's the Wizard.
Yes, I'm aware. Yeah.
It's so designed to push the real old fans' buttons, and I love it. This is definitely a match I would want to rewatch.
Speaking of matches to rewatch, the next one was pretty good as well.
Yeah, the what was it? The new what was it for? It was for the both?
It was the winner take all three-way tag team match for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships and the IWGP Tag Championships.
Yes.
Yep. Between FTR, United Empire, and Roppongi Vice.
Who were definitely not there to make up the numbers. Roppongi Vice, where they were the freaking glue in this one.
That's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because normally not since the Attitude Era of like Hardy's, Dudley's, and the Edge and Christian have you had like a formidable kind of like triple threat or three-way dance kind of like collusion of energy and whatnot. It's like so yeah, it's good that this went all right. It just wants you to think, because how things planned out, don't know if we're being worked or shot upon.
It's not actually clear.
Yeah, it's hard to say,
which is concerning.
Because what we're talking about is that not long into the match,
it was apparently a legitimate injury.
It was apparently legitimate.
Even in the media scrum afterwards, Harwood had his shoulder taped and iced.
Yeah.
So so Dax Harwood took a bad bump after I think, what was it, Empire? One of the Empire boys did something on him.
I didn't even see it. I kind of blinked and then saw he was holding his shoulder. So.
Basically, he took a move. He took one move in the match, and he landed back, and then he just like grabbed his arm and just like So he got sent to he went to the back with medical personnel, I believe, leading him backstage, and then Cash Wheeler just like doing all majority of the work for FTR with the other two teams, pretty much going back and forth between the two, with at least the other two teams eventually just going at each other and whatnot.
Yeah.
And Dax, good on him, man, to come back and finish the match. I mean, really, in all honesty, they could have just stopped, like, changed the finish on the fly and give either United Empire or Roppongi Vice the win to make it. But by God, FTR, like,
they're on
proper
their way.
Boys.
They're properly on their way to being one of the tag teams that we speak about within the industry, the history of the industry going forward.
Oh, I think that's been ongoing for a good while.
Well,
now
this is as much cements it as anything.
If you haven't watched it, I would suggest watching the media scrum with the interview that Dax and Cash do. It's pretty interesting. Dax pretty much takes the floor for most of it, but what Dax says is pretty interesting to listen to.
Kind of like,
yeah. But this was our first cameo from other organizations that aren't AEW or New Japan, one of two Ring of Honor, three Ring of Honor mentions actually, in this pay-per-view, because obviously Yuta came out wearing the Pure Championship, and there was another one later, along with a very sneaky. Yet another wrestling organization was snuck in but we'll get to that later. But yeah, really fun match. Everyone held up their end of the bargain. It changed the psychology of the match, not having Dax there.
It worked well to take that shoot and work it into the match afterward. During it.
Having to make the decision to tag Roppongi Vice to get himself out of it was it really did change things around.
All right, but yeah, you have FTR taking home both the RH tag titles and the IWGP tag titles. So whether or not they'll, because of that injury that Dax took,
I imagine there'll be a little bit of a break. Probably won't see FTR until the Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because they've got with those title belts, they're not on every week or every month or anything. It's they do have some time to.
I think we'll next see FTR in the build up to Death and Dishonor, or Death before Dishonor.
Yeah.
Death before Dishonor, and then some team from New Japan will show up at the end of the match to go
for the next live event that they have for New Japan. Fair news. Moving on. Talking to another championship match. There was a lot of championship matches on this card.
Best match of the fucking night. Come on, let's go.
The newly minted all AEW All Atlantic Championship was defended in a four-way match with Miro, Clark Connors, Malachi Black, and the Bastard Pack. What are you guys' thoughts?
Best match of the night.
Yeah.
Best fucking match of the night.
What were some of your highlights from it, Pete?
Well, I like the fact that this Clark Connors guy, who I've never heard of before, got thrown around like a fucking ragdoll, and still came back and was performed some fucking really quality shit to see. Miro was just a monster throughout.
I heard, it was like
the entire thing.
Yeah, he pretty much had most of the control of the match there.
And just more Pac and Malachi stuff, standard stuff from them, but just in a four-way. It's just quality to watch. It felt like it didn't slow down at all for the entire duration of this match.
My favourite bit was, get out of the way, I hate him more!
That's Pac for you.
Yeah, when everyone was literally fighting to just stamp on Pac. But yeah, and
I thought
sympathy, as you pointed out, Pete.
I honestly thought Miro was going to win this because obviously it's his first big match back because he's been out for a while.
But he already was like a former TNT champion beforehand, so for him to have the All Atlantic title, after that, after his already. Decent. Well, I wouldn't say decent run with the TNT.
I expect I can't speak much for Connors because I haven't seen him outside of anything this match. But I expect if it was to be on Pac, Miro, or Malachi, any of the three of those will be able to put on bonkers matches with that. Mm-hmm. But I'm used to having. If you have Miro have it, Miro is going to go on with a tear with it, and it's going to build prestige for actually having that belt to begin with. Mm. Whereas if you have it on Pac, we're probably going to get more of an elongation of... if it's on Pac or Malachi, they'll probably have more of an elongation of, their feud just continuing, as it has done, for too fucking long already anyway. And then one of them is going to cost the other the belt eventually anyway. But at least, with Miro, he's just, not involved with that and can just be a dominant champion for a while and give that belt prestige. Which is what it needs to begin with. It needs to have... someone that holds it for a long time.
Well, it's just newly minted, so we'll eventually see someone, whether it be the winner, who was Pac in this match, who slid in there to get that win, whether it be him or another person down the line, who knows? It's early days,
Early days.
It was just a very good match all throughout. If I was going to watch anything again, I'd watch that match.
it was
more over than the Jericho.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like this one. Like I say, Connor's having the crap beaten out of him, and then getting sympathy, and the crowd were all over it when he got Miro through the table. The crowd went bonkers when he got him through the table because the crowd are ready at that point to cheer for the guy. I think putting it on Pac makes sense. It sort of harks back to the first European champion being Bulldog. That you have the Brit on there. It also, I mean, you could put Pac, you could put any belt on Pac, and you're in safe hands. It's going to be.
I think from Pac and Malachi, I would much rather see them in heavyweight contendership. And I think I know that they're trying to build Miro to be a decent heavyweight contender, but I feel that Miro is best holding up the mid card at the moment.
Miro being the real
I don't know, but
it
just I mean that's just like, I feel like it's more. It feels more from a mid-card perspective that Miro being a monster with a mid-card title, holding it for a while, and then someone gets in there, sounds better from a mid-card perspective than it does from a heavyweight perspective. Because from a heavyweight perspective, everybody wants to get their hands on the belt. You know?
Because it's effectively the same kind of like time as his time in WWE, where he was like that mid-card monster heel for a good part of his run there.
But thankfully, we don't have John Cena in AEW, so that won't put a stop to the way I think about Miro in regard to the mid-card. All right, in that it's like there's heroes and there's villains, there's faces and there's heels. But Miro, to give it a video game connotation, which I'm sure he would have liked, he's the equivalent of Akuma.
Yeah, he's more outside the box for everybody.
He's outside the box, but he's the villain he's the bad guy that will turn up and suddenly he's a threat to anybody that's there. He's the wild card from that.
That only works if he's put in a position to do so.
Then they probably should do that.
Like, until he turns up and decides to fight Mox for the belt, like, this is what I don't understand about the whole Miro character right now. He's very much, I'm a threat to everybody, I'm the Redeemer, God's put me here on this path, but he's always in the mid-card. If he's there, if he's out to redeem people, if he's there to take the belts and redeem the belt, why doesn't he just start at the top? Just push his way through. Like, he
doesn't need a build.
The whole reason this feels very much like attitude level WWE at the moment, why everybody's interested, is because, exactly like I've said on previous podcasts, everybody who wants a shot at the belt is saying, I want a shot at that fucking belt. It reminds you very much of 2001 when Kurt got the heavyweight belt on his first run, and Rock, Taker, Austin, everybody was, well, not Austin because Austin wasn't there at the time, but Triple H, Kane, Taker, Ricky, everybody just went, I want the fucking belt, and that's what led into probably the best match of it being the Armageddon Hell in a Cell match, where everybody just went for it. That was the peak of the Attitude Era, is when everybody who could and had a legitimate shot at the belt went for it. And you've got so many guys that you guys have mentioned could be a legitimate shot at the belt, and we don't see it.
And the benefit of Miro as the Redeemer character, he doesn't need a build. He can just go for it because it's acceptable. Because it's acceptable to the audience that he just. It's a bit like old WCW characters used to do, where he just suddenly goes, I don't like this guy anymore, I'm just going to fucking jump him, or I'm just going to go for this, or go for this, and there's no rhyme nor reason other than I want to destroy this.
Exactly. But we're at a problem, again, where AEW has too large a roster, and yes, with the contracts dying off now after year 3, there are some contracts that are just expiring. It's going to get to a point where they're going to have a nice flux, and hell, maybe with all these fucking cursed injuries going on, people like Miro might find themselves in heavyweight contention. But he needs to put himself in that fucking spot. We can't just wait. I
entirely agree with you that he needs to. That if anything's going to happen now's the time for Miro just to completely go after Mox.
Oh, Miro. Not just fucking Miro. Just again, and this is the problem with trying to compare it to WWE as well, because WWE have their fucking 12 calendar month pay-per-views, and we only have 4 plus the extra one. I mean, thankfully, because they've got their Bonza Dynamite sessions, we might see a big blow off to a feud there. But just start fucking throwing people, exactly like they just did for the IWGP title, and Paige, Hangman, and Okada turned around and went, I want my shot at White. Why are people not doing that with Moxley? It's an interim shot, and the biggest thing that they should be going for is that, it might be the interim title, but I want a fucking shot against Punk.
Also, you go back to Miro. Of all the characters in AEW, the one you figure that wouldn't give a shit about the Blackpool Combat Club, and the fact that the Blackpool Combat Club is around, Mox, Miro.
Well, yes, I agree. My biggest concern is that we end up having Miro gets into some sort of faction in order to try and stave off the Combat Club, and that's the last thing we need, because I do not want another
leader of the Pinnacle.
Not even the Pinnacle, just the fucking nation, like the new fucking League of Nations.
League of oh god.
Hopefully better and well organized than
Miro
that.
steals William Regal from Blackpool Combat Club.
Fucking hell! Now there's a sports entertainment fucking storyline.
William, I never liked Blackpool anyway.
Anyway, let's move on to the next match here with a crazy 6-man tag with the Young Bucks. And
I am going to just step in and say that I'm more happy for an injury to not make this an 8-man tag. I understand that there's so many people that they want to stick on the card, but there are either so many tag matches, but it felt like, looking in on this card, that there were so many things that were just going to be 4 people on either side, or 4-man matches.
It made it a bit different, and I think the actual flow of the match really benefited from it as well. Actually, not being as many people.
Yeah,
but yes.
But so obviously we had instead of the 8-man advertised match, we got the 6-man with, like I said, Young Bucks and El Fantasmo going up against Darby Allin, Shingo Takagi, and the Flying Squirrel. I mean, Sting. He's like, God damn it, Sting! For the fuck's sake, you are a grounded animal.
He's 63 years old.
Why? Why are you doing this? It's
because
crazy.
He wants to. Because he wants to.
Just one of these days,
Why is he jumping off that ledge? Because he wants to. Because he wants to.
We kept screaming at Bloodman Big E for all the dives that he was doing all the time. It's like, and look at that.
Yeah, but there is a big difference between somebody leaping through a rope on a dangerous thing to hit one person at a barrier, to jumping on 3 people who can actually cushion the fall a bit more.
Yeah, from a higher elevation as well.
I can't wait.
Gravity, man.
I can't wait until we get Broken Matt back, so he can go on a crusade against that dangerous spot monkey Sting.
Yes, bring that in. Yes,
it's definitely something. Sting just. For one night only, the Bucks back in Bullet Club. The person on the sidelines was Haku's son, and oh my god, imagine the shadow you have to live in when you're Haku's son.
I mean, Haku is a big person. Let's be fair. I mean, not just in name and stature.
Even before any else. Who's your son? Who's your father? Oh, my dad's Haku. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. But we had them versus the Dudes of Attitude in a flashback to
old school Sting,
to 1990s. Wasn't Bash at the Beach. It was
War Games.
No, what's the American one? The Great American Bash.
Yes.
It was 1990 Great American Bash, where it was the Dudes of Attitude. It was like a half dozen people, including Lex Luger and El Gigante for some bloody reason who was in it.
Odd pairing.
It was them and the Steiners and everything against the Four Horsemen. I don't understand why it was like 6 or 7 people versus the Four Horsemen, but there we go. It's WCW. Even in the 90s, it was still Turner and crazy. It was there was lots of things to enjoy in this match. It was just fun. It was stupid at times, but in a way that was acceptable. El Phantasmo I thought was great, actually.
I hated him. Fucking, he just irritated me just for existing.
He was definitely somebody that gets heat in a very specific way and then always gets his comeuppance. He has to be one of those wrestlers that always gets their comeuppance.
I was gonna say his mannerisms in the match.
He reminds me.
The facials, were brilliant.
Who was the other group that was in the Hardy family other than the Butcher and the Blade and Private Party? The fucking neon coloured guys.
Angelico
the one who had to get his head shaved before he left.
What's his name?
Yeah, he Phantasma reminded me of like more of the fucking spot monkey from that team, and that's why it annoyed me. So like he was just doing all the really cocky shit before he got hit or something.
Who'd have thought we'd get a humongous crowd pop for Sting twisting somebody's nipple.
That reminds me. There was
and well deserved by that point.
There was that entire point of where Sting dealt with throughout the Young Bucks and left Phantasmo in the ring, and then completely forgot he was meant to do the nipple twisting thing with Phantasmo. Until Matt Jackson just pointed at him and said, "You need to do this."
Yeah, I like the fact that he just wanted to bash up the Jacksons a bit more. And the freeze frame, and then El Phantasmo think he had got away with it because and then just going back to what he was doing. It's still there was of all the things in the match, Darby Allin was kind of very background, I thought.
Well, yeah, he was more tame in this than he has been in previous matches beforehand, and it's like he was at his tamest thus far. You know, it's like normally you'd be like doing a lot more crazier stuff, but no, he was held back a little bit. You know, let the Young Bucks and Sting do a lot more.
Do their stuff. What was the New Japan wrestler on Sting's side's name? I keep forgetting that one.
Shingo Tatagi.
Yeah, so he and Sting, that little moment where just like little back and forth of, oh, can you do this? And Sting doing, a fucking just Sting copying all the moves and it's like, yeah, I can do that. It's like,
wow,
you're really good. It's like, oh no, I'm Sting. Just get on with it. This was the match, by the way, that had your third Ring of Honor reference in with the Young Bucks coming out with their denim jackets on with patches of all the various promotions that they represented, including Japan. And this is where the other sneaky promotion reference came in, because they both had Pro Wrestling Guerrilla patches on as well. So PWG got shout out at this thing as well.
Well,
Again, if you're going to do it
show.
to a specific crowd, then it's going to be the crowd that's going to understand it, isn't it?
And they loved PWG, the Bucks. So, but it was just like it was just like all the things sort of had little cameo appearances. But this was a fine match. We've established you don't fuck with Sting.
Yeah, it was very entertaining, and but man, it was like Sting was on like someone was activating the cheat codes for Sting tonight, like because doing so many things. That no sell off like the super kick party from the Young Bucks.
Oh yeah,
like, just going back like. It's almost he was definitely imitating his own take on the Undertaker there.
Yeah, the eyes did roll back a bit, but it was just the rock back into. And I remember because I was watching it, my immediate reaction was, "Oh shit," because terrible things were about to happen. And then I think was at that point we got the double Scorpion death drop spot as well,
yes.
Which was and that was really nice actually. That was really nice. It's actually very difficult to do that, but luckily, obviously, the Bucks being sort of similar heights and things really helped matters.
Aye, but I mean, granted, it had its very spots to it and whatnot. Yeah, it was entertaining. It was fun. It's like really fun. But what kind of like dropped things down a bit was the next match here. I had no interest. I'm not sure if it's because I'm not interested in Thunder Rosa as a person
Or
as champion?
As champion, like if everything I've heard and seen that's come out recently of her no selling somebody in the ring, just making their life just generally difficult is just put another fucking damper on things. But I just wasn't interested.
Yeah, Thunder Rosa versus Tony Storm for the AEW Women's Championship. It was a face versus face match. It didn't help matters.
I think it's really bad. I mean, we've all said previously about how the women's division is not fantastic in AEW, but I'd be more interested to have seen Jade Cargill defend the belt at this pay-per-view rather than Blood and Guts, and have Thunder Rosa defend her belt at Blood and Guts.
Yeah.
I've personally found it interesting in the world of wrestling. We had somebody called Thunder and somebody called Storm, and absolutely no mention was made of this in any kind of promotional material.
Considering that Taz was on commentary as well.
Yeah, it was just like freaking come on.
Weather puns, everybody.
Yeah, there's a tag team awaiting for those two because dear God they shouldn't fight anymore. This was bad. I'm just gonna say this was bad and
worst match of the night. I'm guessing.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, if you take away everything else, like because everything else is a good match regardless, in terms of levels of it. Like even if it wasn't up against such solid competition, like I just don't think Thunder Rosa is interesting as a champion, and I think that is mostly because she hasn't had any TV time on Dynamite.
That's true. Like the how it kind of like comes about of her having matches and stuff like that is just not built up well.
I do not understand why we went from having someone who was the women's champion for over a year, and had a lot of TV time, and Thunder Rosa gets barely any, and the stuff that she does get is interrupted.
Which was Ruby Riot's point, wasn't it, in that promo? Before the previous pay-per-view, when Britt came out and she basically told her, "No, you're not talking because you always get to talk."
Yeah.
I don't know what is, but you're right. What's Thunder Rosa's deal? What's her aim? What's her goals? What's her mission statement? Now that she's a champion, other than she cares about Dustin Rhodes, we know that. What about you?
This is the problem. This is the whole problem with having a face champion. At least with a heel champion, or in Moxley's case, a tweener champion. I want to say Moxley's more tweener than face or heel, because he can just turn up and just say, "I've got the belt. I'm here to defend it." Because especially with the Blackpool Combat Club kind of turn around and go, "If you want to fight, come and fight me." At least there's that. But with the face champ, and we had the same problem with why nobody was invested in Page. They were more interested in his chase to the belt rather than him holding the belt, because he's.
Yeah, it's how how well connected the face can have to the audience and whatnot. Because back in the day, when say The Rock, when he was face and whatnot, and when he chased for the belt, when he did get the title, everyone loved him still being the champion and whatnot, because he had that kind of the character and whatnot down to get everyone on board and still keep being on board with him throughout the reign. Whilst with these characters, you'll get the initial kind of support and we want this character, we want this wrestler to be our champion and whatnot. When they get that championship, it's like, they've lost that spark now. It's not that good anymore. So I feel as though that's got a problem.
But so I mean, I'm because I had this discussion with C.A. Black, Ian, our friend who's been doing the surveys and everything. We had this discussion about what's going on now with Thunder Rosa, and when it came to putting the predictions in, my thing was Thunder Rosa needs to lose the belt. Not this time. I didn't think she was going to lose this time, but the next pay-per-view or the next big event, she has to lose it, because nothing's happening. But then, who takes it from her?
There's no feud either. It's just the number one ranked person is put in, which is fine if you don't want to have a feud. But part of the fucking point of having the belt is that you have feuds with people, not just
whoever's the
blah.
Best gets that.
And if they don't think she's doing well and want to get the belt off her, do it as a multi-person match and get somebody to eat the pinfall so she loses the belt, so she still seems strong.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's because at the moment, she's just needing that, spark again.
Ashton, you should take the belt. Mrs. Spanish Goddess.
Yes, I'd agree with that. I'd put it on Ty Conti.
Put it on Ty Conti, because we know that Ty Conti can wrestle, and we know that Ty Conti can have a good match with most people. I'm not going to say everybody, but with most people.
She's pretty good on the mic well.
She's pretty good on the mic, and what better way to get people pissed off even more than instead of her being at ringside for Sammy, you have Sammy at ringside for her. Yeah, and they can be insufferable there, and you can do stuff, and then you can work on whoever takes it off of her. You can have Thunder Rosa trying to do it. You can have people trying to get in the way. You can have Toni Storm having a good shot. Actually, Toni Storm versus Ty Conti would be a good match, I think. I think that would be a good match. But you've got the chance then to have Ruby and Britt have a go as well. But you also have a pure heel has the belt, which gives you some options.
It's just a shame that we're really in pay-per-view season at the moment, and we've got blood and guts around the corner, because fuck it, I'm gonna say it right now, put all the gold in the Jericho fucking Appreciation Society. Just do it. Just have Jericho feud with Mox again. Get him out of the belt. Put the tag belts on 2.0. What's left of them. Put the women's belt on Ty Conti. Get a belt back on Sammy. He obviously can't have TNT, so fuck it. Put all the gold in them. Let them be really cocky golden heels.
Actually, no. Don't give Sammy a belt. Have him be the only one who doesn't have a belt, because then that would be an interesting storyline to see how he could do a Christian and start claiming that it's everything's
Sammy versus Jericho. Sammy versus Jericho. Yeah, I'd buy that in an instant. Sammy versus Jericho.
It just goes back to them again. Sammy and Jericho being they can't live with each other, they can't live without each other. Wrestling team, because they keep cracking apart and going back together again. That'd be good. Also, can you imagine the bloody promos would get out of Jericho about Punk and about how
The
he's sports
Golden
entertainment.
Wizard.
The Golden
He'd be the
Wizard.
Golden Wizard.
I love it. The Golden Wizard.
There you go. That's it. Book now.
The Wizard
Golden Wizard.
of Gold. He could come out literally in a golden wizard's outfit,
With a golden hat and all that. Oh Jesus Christ!
Plus, it leads into the whole feud.
literally
again.
looking like Roy Wood coming out.
Plus, it leads into the whole feud of Santana and Ortiz saying that Jericho never let them have the belts by letting 2.0 have the tag belts, and then they can feud with Santana and Ortiz. Leads into that feud as well. You know.
Also, I think 2.0 deserve a shot actually, based on how they've been doing. I think they've had a stonking couple of months. But they need some dark victories.
Put the All Atlantic on Sammy and put the TNT on what's his name? The other guy who with 2.0. That's not 2.0.
Oh,
the really hard young guy.
I can't remember.
There's no hot link to the Jericho Appreciation Society. Fuck.
Chris is going to be really upset with us if we're not appreciating the society properly.
Really fucking annoyed.
Is it Manning?
It's
Is
not
that
are you not thinking of Jake Hager?
No, I'm not thinking of Jake Hager. I am thinking of
that young kid, Jake Hager.
I'm thinking of Daniel Garcia.
Oh, Danny Garcia, of course. What the hell is Danny Garcia?
Right.
Yeah, Danny Garcia is a good shout for a belt like that. I think
That just leads into and Jericho versus Mox for the belt leads into the feud with the Blackpool Combat Club as well. Everything all works because then you have the tag team. Then you have a triple threat tag team match of Danielson and not Cesaro. What's Cesaro?
Claudio Castagnoli.
Claudio.
You have Claudio and Brian as a tag team. You have Santana and Ortiz as the tag team, and you have 2.0 with the belts. That's there. That deals with those feud with the Combat Club and Santana and Ortiz.
Right.
Mwah.
We've gone so into this,
Yeah.
but wait, there's more. Claudio Castagnoli versus Jericho. Puts Jericho in the big swing. Jericho comes out of it and he says, "Oh, I can't defend the belt tonight because I've got like a concussion from the giant swing." And he starts sort of saying, "Oh no, I'm dizzy and I've not been medically cleared."
Hey, Dirk dukes around that for a good couple of weeks.
Jericho could just duck everybody on that entire thing for ages. But there'd literally be like 3 members of BCC like in a queue trying to get to Jericho.
I have just thought of the best fucking triple threat match. If Jericho had the gold before Punk come back, and you have Jericho versus Danielson versus Kingston.
We'll get on to Kingston and the continuation of storylines from 15, 17 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly, but let's get off of this one now because we've
been on here
fancy
long
booked for some time. If we want a fancy book, we should probably do some sort of GM mode between the 3 of us.
That's teasing something. Oh dear. Anyway, let's get to the next match. Before we get more derailed. Will Osprey versus Orange Cassidy for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. Even though this was heavily kind of like
maligned,
well, just like weighed upon by just the simple presence of Orange Cassidy being there to gimmick it up a bit with his typical demeanor. This was still a fun match, regardless. And granted, I'm not always on board for the stupid bollocks and stuff like that, but I like Orange Cassidy. He is fun. And when he's in championship matches and stuff like that, it can be, entertaining to a degree and whatnot. And when he tries, it's fun.
I mean, this was the 3rd best match on the card, in my opinion.
My favourite match of the night, actually.
Well, there you go.
because we didn't really we had Orange Cassidy, but for periods of time we had Fire Ant. We didn't have Orange Cassidy, we had Fire Ant instead, and that was really cool. The best moment of the entire night, the piss take of the Osprey Ricochet.
Oh yes.
When the famous Osprey Ricochet sequence of it all being springboard and high gymnastics, as people termed it. Osprey being in position and then just slowly Orange Cassidy just getting into position after having sort of someone outdone him on like the counters and things. That moment of him just going mimicking the thing. Yeah, no, it was a complete piss take. It was a complete piss take of that, and it worked into the psychology of the match. Yes, because there was a lot of psychology in this.
Yeah, like Will Osprey was just definitely taking everything that all the piss taking that Orange Cassidy was doing, and just like getting really into it and being able to work it into the match very well. I mean, there was one spot where he like had him stretched out and whatnot, put his hand in Orange Cassidy's jeans or whatever, and just pull out a middle finger to flip off
everybody.
To everybody. That's great. That's what we want, is to have the heel take, obviously,
and he was
reverse it.
Yeah, and he was so busy with that, he got distracted, and it allowed Orange Cassidy to get back in.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire thing, it was just like every time that Osprey thought he had the upper hand and could do any kind of piss take or react to the crowd or anything, he let Orange Cassidy back in. Mm-hmm. And there was a couple of close falls that the crowd really bought as well.
Oh yeah, the near falls between Orange Cassidy getting on Will Osprey.
Actually, now that I've said that, this annoyed me because there was a couple that the ref very clearly pulled out of the free on. It was like 1, 2.
Yeah. There was at least one, and even the crowd called bullshit on it.
Yeah, the crowd called bullshit on it. But yeah, when Orange hit Beach Break, oh my god, people thought he actually got it.
Yeah,
they hooked the crowd in that one entirely. They hooked it as well. I did for half a second. I don't think there's any doubt that Osprey was going to win this, but it was a lot harder than he thought it was going to be, and it was extremely enjoyable.
Yes,
it was a really good match to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
I just think there was a couple better than this. That was all.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah,
it's personal preference.
I mean, there's nothing nothing wrong with being like the bronze medal off a hot night, and whatnot.
Like I said, there was a few little nods to other things that Osprey has done that again that Orange just decided to take the piss out of, and got him visibly heated. So it just worked for me on that basis.
Which is the fun thing about these Orange Cassidy matches. I like seeing the heel being pissed off at Orange Cassidy and what he's doing in the match and whatnot. That's how I loved his dynamic with Pac back in the day.
It still astounds me that Orange Cassidy can do all that offense in that sequence with his hand entirely in his pockets, including the kip ups and he's the only person in history to be able to do an arm drag with no arms. I don't know. There's just something about it, but this was a fun one, and led us on to the next match.
Yeah, which to you guys was probably the penultimate match, being that of Zack Sabre Jr. Originally supposed to go up against Daniel Bryan, but because of injury that he sustained, he had a new replacement who was also going to be a new member of the Blackpool Combat Club, being that of the returning.
I think, having watched quite a fair bit, I think the injury is pretty kayfabe, to be honest. They have both Tony Khan and Claudio have said, Tony Khan specifically said in interviews that there was no better time than to get Claudio in. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, But yeah, Claudio Castagnoli. I can't pronounce
Castagnoli.
Castagnoli. Thank you. It's like Castellanos, but with a noli. Yes, Claudio here. Wow, what a surprise! It's like I really wasn't expecting him to be the guy, but a lot of people online was thinking that.
Is that honest? You weren't expecting Claudio?
I wasn't expecting it. No,
I wasn't expecting Claudio either, and I think the reason why I wasn't is because I missed the bit in the promo where they said that this is the next person to join BCC.
I caught that, but I just couldn't think.
I think if I'd have heard that and thought about it, I think I would have thought it would be Claudio. But this match started hot. It was. I mean, the crowd was delighted. I probably woke the neighbors when the match started because the bell rang and Claudio just ran straight over and European uppercutted Zack Sabre Jr. as hard as he could.
Fucking quality start to the match.
I know. As I later described it to Double Cross, he tried to erase the man's face, but I just went, "Oh shit!" Like really.
It's the fact he went for it and then went for a neutralizer.
Yeah.
What a fucking start to a match.
But no, it's like very explosive.
This was also the match where once again the crowd once again shown they don't know how to count.
Well, they've never understood. They've never understood the concept of counting the swings.
Yeah,
it's not the number of seconds; it's the number of swings. Everybody, 1, 2, not 1, 2, 3. That's not how it works. But who cares anyway?
Well,
who cares?
Some people do.
But I because me and Kat watched up, down, down so much. She's actually quite familiar with Big
Claudio.
Swiss. Yeah.
So,
but what was really funny was I kind of had to explain because I was really loud when I just yelled, "Oh fuck!" So I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry about that, honey." But you need to see this because it's Claudio Cesaro.
You got a half sleepy.
No, this was in the no. I was screwed from work. I watched this like the next day, but it was still early in the morning when I just yelled "Oh fuck" very very loudly. So at this point she was up and I was like, "Oh, hey, he's made a return. Come and see this. You need to see this the way this match starts." She's like, "Oh, okay." She sits down in this chair and just watching, and then ding, ding, ding. And her exact response was, "Oh, fuck!" Exact same thing.
Exact same. Oh, well.
Exact same thing. It's like who is this man? What has happened to his head? It is. Oh dear. But this was great all the way through. I think if it had been Danielson, I think we would have thought that Zack would have won the day.
Yeah, because that's how it was kind of like being told after the match with all the kind of like socials being put out is Zack Sabre Jr. talking about things like, "Oh, I was not ready for this. I was looking for a technical match. But you're not being technical."
They will have their match, and Danielson will put him over.
Yeah,
and that wasn't today. And a Big Swiss is the next member of BCC, and bloody hell, that's a. If you're Wheeler Yuta, oh my god, look at what has surrounded you.
Yeah.
Also, this win obviously
helped. Wish list.
Also, this win it also helped the Blackpool Combat Club to have the advantage going into Blood and Guts. Apparently, so
no,
that was a Jericho match.
The Jericho
match. Okay.
The Jericho Appreciation Society, the match, the very first match gave Jericho Appreciation Society the man advantage.
I thought Daniel Bryan said that this match would be
no.
He's saying that Claudio will give them
will be in the match, right?
Except that at the very end when there was the big schmoz at the end. Eddie Kingston yelling at Moxley for bringing Claudio into AEW.
Yeah, it was really funny.
It was
even
continue. They still hate each other in storyline. I love it.
And again, in the media scrum, Tony Khan referred to the feud of Claudio and Kingston as well.
Yeah, that is such a thing because it was all on Twitter like well beforehand, and like he doesn't have the balls to show up in AEW.
So I didn't know any of this until Kevin linked a video on the LMC Discord.
There's a great little mini documentary about the 3-match series that the guys did in Shikara, and the fact that the storyline continues. And Eddie himself tweeted this video not that long ago, I don't think. It really gets over, and it gets over how the Eddie Kingston character, even when he was a real heel, he still Eddie Kingston. It's really good. Also tells you a lot about Claudio's roots of his character, which was a bit more sort of blue-blooded stuff. Oh, and I forgot actually. This how did he win the match? If you hadn't guessed, Claudio won the match. Everybody, he won the match. He won with the Ricola. The Ricola bomb came back. Absolutely fantastic.
It's almost when wrestlers are allowed to be themselves, they can do throwbacks to what they were.
Yeah.
And not have to live with what makes an old man happy.
So, moving on to you guys, obviously, almost pretty much shutting off for these last 2 matches. First up, with the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match, 4-way match between Adam Page, Adam Cole, Kazuchika Okada, and Jay White, who was champion.
This did not need to be a fatal 4-way, and I feel like the only reason it was because the belt had not been defended in a 4-way title match before.
It was also one of the longest matches of the night. In fact, it was the longest match of the night.
And it felt it.
The other problem with this match is that you have to try and follow up the the fatal 4-way from earlier in the fucking night, and this match was a lot slower and not as action-packed, except for certain spots.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also marred by the fucking ending as well.
Yes.
And we know what happened with that, with Adam Cole and the shoulder injury plus the concussion and everything else that's coming out of that. But even, I think, in spite of that, the rest of it wasn't all that good. I thought Okada was pretty ordinary in the match. White was the most entertaining in the match to me. I didn't want him to win. I didn't want him to lose the belt, and he's the heel.
He wasn't gonna lose the belt.
Oh no, he wasn't. He probably wasn't.
I felt like Hangman Page was literally nothing in this match. I couldn't
tell you anything he did if you asked me to.
He turned up to do a spot and got fucking super kicked for it. Like, that's it. This match was literally Page, Okada, and White for the majority of it. Hangman literally turned up, got hit for something, and then just wasn't there. Like, I don't understand the point of why he was in the match, other than the fact that he wanted to face Okada.
Very disappointing.
But they might set up my fancy booking from last time with Okada. No, there's not that. Not going to do that.
No. This obviously was marred by slow pacing to a good degree, and of course the ending of how it was an audible.
White called is an audible, and good for him for doing so. Yeah,
where even what was it? You had Okada going for the Rainmaker, but Cole ducked
collapsing.
it.
He sort of ducked / collapsed.
Yeah,
and at that point it was.
And then Jay White finished, taking out Okada with his finisher, but pinning Cole for the win. Which obviously a lot of people were confused by at the time.
At the time, it felt like a very weird ending.
Mm-hmm. And then when the EMTs came in, it kind of made a little bit more sense. But even then, it was just like.
But yeah. So yeah, nothing more to really talk on that.
You can't really talk too much shit on this match because of the ending and the reasons behind it. But if you take that part aside, it just felt really slow and just doesn't hold up to the 4-way that's held earlier on in the year. Like this is the thing about doing a crossover pay-per-view like this to begin with, is that you want to get so many people on the card to represent every brand involved.
Yes.
But it leads to too many multi-man matches and not enough people to stand out for.
Yeah.
Everything was rushed storyline wise.
Yeah, it's like Survivor Series.
If this was literally just that's a very good point, which I was going to make later. But this could have just been a triple threat match. It would have stood out on its own. I wouldn't have referred back to the 4-way match. But then you also had the triple threat tag team match, and then we had another 6-man tag match, and then we had another 6-man tag match at the beginning. Like, there are so many multi-man matches on this card. Mm-hmm. And it could have just done with just stepping back and having more single matches with stipulations.
That's what I was hoping that this event would have, because a lot of people were wanting to have like dream matches of single man matches.
Star versus star.
Effectively.
You match up the equivalents thereof on each brand, and you put them against each other, and you want to see who's the best at that particular thing that they do.
Yeah.
Opposed to whatever.
Yeah, but sadly, just like it was hampered by like how this was Tony Khan obviously going like, oh, I want to do this, I want to use all these people, but I can't. I just can't put them all in one. Just single. Man, I need them all.
I can't play with all of my toys at the same time. Well,
exactly.
Don't.
Yeah, the best way of making making this a good show is don't overuse that you got the people that you have. Just work with what you had, and have some of the best here, and save the rest for another day.
I think it also, like with the short booking, it falls into that horrible period where it's not long after the last pay-per-view, which was Double or Nothing, because that wasn't too long ago. But then you've got Blood and Guts literally this week.
Yeah.
Which at this point is a major show for them. It's not pay-per-view, but it's, of all the ones that there are, of the special Dynamites, it's the one that's, whenever it is they go to additional pay-per-views, and they will do at some point, it's the one that's going to get leveled up, is Blood and Guts.
Yes.
So, I don't know. You know what this should have been? No Page, triple threat.
Yeah.
Have White take out Cole early.
And just be a single.
And then it'd be 1-on-1. And then you could have, the Bucks come out and be pissed with White because, like, why have you done that for? And then you can have the whole disillusion of, well, you're out of the Bullet Club again now, aren't you? We've had our alliance is over. And then you can have the Bullet Club on top, and then you have something to build to later on, and you take away this, undisputed elite Bullet Club alliance that's been bubbling in the background for the last however long. Mm-hmm. And then you actually do have them, that the Bullet Club did get their last laugh over the Bucks, and have it been something that they're annoyed about and that they want to try and get back to. And Cole can be pissed because, why didn't people protect him? And then you could just... Storylines, people! Storylines! Plot! Feuds! Building!
Shall we talk about the last match quickly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because let's see how this is all going to build going forward. Because this is the interim AEW World Championship match to crown a champion in the time that CM Punk is going to be away with the actual title. It's Jon Moxley versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Again, granted, John, he's trying to make us feel in this match, obviously, with the color being used and whatnot, but really, it was just in third for the whole match. I feel just it couldn't get.
It was not the style of match that Tanahashi normally wrestles, so it was very much. It felt a bit wrong. It felt a bit wrong that he was wrestling this match, just not in his style, and he was trying to sort of bring it back there, but he's up against Jon Moxley, and Jon Moxley's gonna Jon Moxley and bleed all over him and everything else. And I don't know, Pete, what did you make of all this?
It was all right to watch. Again, the biggest problem I had was getting invested in the match, because the only thing I had to go on it was the whole pre-match video of why Moxley and Tanahashi are after each other. You know, there's this whole New Japan story, which is because it's not on television and like told to us on Dynamite, and that I had no. It was just essentially the build was the evening, and when we saw that video, that was it. That's all I had for it.
Yeah,
so it was just that, and I walked into it. I knew Moxley was going to win the belt because Tanahashi's got in the G1 or something, is what everybody's saying. So like he's going to be away for an extended time for that. So I kind of guessed Moxley was going to win it anyway.
Yeah, I wasn't really, in all honesty, I didn't think that any New Japan wrestler would be interim champion for AEW at any point. I wouldn't have thought. Yeah, no matter who won at Dominion, they weren't gonna come to this pay-per-view and win the title. In my opinion, so I wasn't invested to how this was gonna play out. I knew Jon Moxley was gonna win it as soon as he was made winner of the the match after the battle royal that they had for choose their challenger to go up against Jon Moxley.
The minute they announced that Jon Moxley was immediately number one, who fucking wasn't, by the way, it was actually fucking Adam Cole who was number one in the rankings. So that's fucking bullshit.
I think didn't this whole thing take place outside of the rankings, is what they said?
No. Jon Moxley was number one contender due to being number one in the rankings. That is why he didn't have to win the Battle Royal. But then they had the winner of the Battle Royal face Moxley on the same night. Why? Immediately Moxley's going to win that because he's not had to do a Battle Royal.
So yeah, it was all leading up to this. It was all in Moxley's favor, really, in all honesty, and that made the whole thing more boring as a fact. So
I did predict that Tanahashi would win as like a political concession.
Really
also, he didn't just need to be appearing.
I found it really entertaining how Tony Khan had come out and said, I've got no problems about AEW wrestlers holding New Japan belts and New Japan wrestlers holding AEW belts, and the only group that does is FTR is holding a New Japan belt. Otherwise, all the normal people are holding all the normal belts. So I have a feeling that they want to kind of just test this relationship more before we see anything else. But,
yeah.
And somewhere stewing over a mobile phone as he logs into Twitter is Kenta. being all pissed that CM Punk was hurt. And then...
Being all pissed. Yeah, probably. I mean, this is the problem, that they're just marred with injuries right now. And I mean, I'm quite sure we might have said it for Double or Nothing as well. But being marred has definitely hurt this card. But in retrospect of watching this card, it was marred for another reason, which was just the amount of multi-man matches. Like, I don't know. I feel like this sort of event could be more of a 2-day WrestleMania type event.
I was gonna say,
where that you can get matches over 2 days, and that way you get to show more of each company's stars. It doesn't feel too cluttered, and it feels like a big event, like to go up against, say, SummerSlam or something. Like you could have that, because both of their own companies going to have their own stuff going on during WrestleMania weekend.
But I'm Tony Khan, I want the Forbidden Door 2. I want that to be in the Tokyo Dome.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because then you're bringing people really onto an international stage. You're bringing all your wrestlers onto that. You're showcasing them against the best.
I've never seen.
Against New Japan, it's going to mean so much more.
Because I've never seen a New Japan show. What is the Japanese crowd like for professional wrestling?
It's very subdued.
It's respectful because people like to see the moves. It's a challenge the wrestlers have to get the crowd to be audible and reacting to stuff, especially at the minute. And that was one of the things that I think was it Jay White got in trouble with, because he pissed off the crowd so much they actually started, doing stuff and they've been literally under orders not to cheer because of COVID. It's a weird situation that they've been actually under orders to not cheer, and Jay White pissed them off so much, and that there was actually very severe trouble. But yeah, it's such an atmosphere in the Tokyo Dome. I think that'd be a huge show if they could do that next time around.
I think it's only fair that
you need to alternate it. You need to alternate it. But if you're going to do it anywhere, do it Tokyo Dome.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's good enough. I mean, you've got the post-match stuff, which is obviously built up to Blood and Guts this week as well, which Kevin mentioned earlier. But I have a feeling that the J.A.S. are going to be walking out of. It's really weird because you want to say that the Blackpool Combat Club should win Blood and Guts
because Moxley is the champion.
I feel like the Jericho Appreciation Society is going to. It's not so much that Moxley's the champion; it's more
Eddie Kingston. Everybody, we've established this. Eddie Kingston is not going to stand for it.
Well, this is what happened at Double or Nothing. Like the Danielson and Kingston stuff held up, and now you're going to have Claudio, Kingston, and not Danielson per se in that match, but yeah,
Moxley.
There was a tweet I saw. Like Eddie Kingston's reaction. It's like, good news, Eddie, we've replaced your number 7 mortal enemy, Bryan Danielson, with your number 2 mortal enemy, Claudio Castagnoli. It's just like that entire group is just made up of just a big emotional mess for him because he loves Mox, but everyone else around him he doesn't trust.
Well, I mean, he's got Santana and Ortiz, which I guess will be on his side until they turn on him and join.
But if it's Kingston, so they were used to be aligned with Jericho, so he's not going to trust them.
We'll see. Blood and Guts is obviously tonight on the time that we're actually recording this, so we will see. But I assume the next time you'll see us will be either for whatever the next AEW pay-per-view is, or whenever we decide to cover anything else.
Yeah,
maybe Money in the Bank, because Money in the Bank
we should do.
Money in the Bank is a good one.
Okay.
Money in the Bank is pretty much the unofficial 5th big WWE pay-per-view at this moment.
Well, it's the setup, isn't it? The setup for anything else that they need to go.
Yeah, back to the other company that's marred with fucking injuries right now.
That's every company.
Yeah, I guess we should finish off with some rankings. Question mark?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Pete, we'll go with you. What do you rank?
It's really difficult because I was invested all the way throughout with the exception of the women's title, I was invested. I watched the entire thing. You know, I was. It was not a second screen kind of listening thing, which is what a lot of stuff can be when it comes to wrestling sometimes. I was actually watching it rather than not doing anything. So it's pretty difficult. I want to say I want to give it an 8, if only because I think that the women's match is just negligible. The 4-man match, injury aside, was overshadowed by the 4-man match earlier on in the night, and I just don't know what to make of Moxley Tanahashi, to be honest. I think somebody else should have been in the match except for Moxley, and they were just afraid that they didn't have a really big name in the company that wasn't John Moxley for a New Japan stand front. So I'm gonna stand by and give it an 8.
Fair dues. Kev, what do you rank this?
I'm with Pete, and it feels a bit difficult to rank this one. I've seen a lot of people rank this, really high, like 9s, and to me, that's no. I can understand why people really enjoy it. I really enjoyed it for the most part, apart from the women's match, which was negligible, and the last two, which sort of fell apart a bit. For that which was there, 8. But you know, it's 8 based on what I enjoyed. But there is a chunk there that just didn't work, and there's all the problems that we have with trying to, you know, fill up. We're trying to pour 2 buckets worth of wrestling into 1 bucket, and it's all going all over the place. You know,
it's overflowing.
It's the next one will be better just because they'll have time to plan it, presumably.
Yes,
but you know, it could have been more. It wasn't, but part of that's not their fault.
Well, I mean, for myself, I'm always kind of like, I can sometimes be all over the place with the numbers and whatnot, and sometimes I could be on the same level as you guys. But sadly, even with the same points as yourselves, bringing upon it, and I'm in the same agreeing on it. I would have to go slightly lower at 7. Just slightly, because even though I did have some enjoyment with some of the matches and stuff like that in spots, it could, it's like the slog was being more. I'm having trouble more watching shows now, like these long shows, to kind of like enjoy them better and whatnot. So
see, I find when it comes to times on these sort of things, that if I'm actually not looking at a clock when I get to the final matches, bear in mind I didn't watch this live because I was too tired on the night. But like, if I'm at the final couple of matches and I'm gone, this doesn't feel like it's too long, then I'm not worried about it. If the matches are slow and boring, and by the time it got to Claudio Zach, it was fine. Like the IWGP match, it didn't feel like it was dragging on. Even Moxley Tanahashi didn't feel like time was dragging on. So I wasn't really bothered about the length of this one. Not so much as I was Double or Nothing felt like it lasted way too long.
Double or Nothing felt like it was double.
Yeah, but I felt as though that was paced better. I feel.
Yeah,
but
hey, I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's how we all interpret the show, and we can all have different interpretations. I mean, I'm always having the different one out of the 3 of us.
No, can't. You will listen to my opinion, and you'll like it.
And I would have to match it.
I thought
have to match it.
I thought for one glorious moment we were all going to, for the first time in a very long time, actually all score it the damn same.
Nah.
I thought we would have got away with it. I thought we were going to get away with it because Pete went first. Because we know full well, if you and me, Turbo, if we'd have given it an 8, he'd have given it a fucking 7.5, and he bloody knows he would have done. Because he doesn't want to have the same score as us.
My opinion must be different.
Well, this time around, my opinion had to be different here because that's
Don't decide down, John.
how it goes. I'm sorry. It's like I have my opinions. That's how I feel it. But that has to be it for us for the Last Minute Kick Out podcast here. We like I said, we will probably be back for hopefully Money in the Bank. So be sure to tune in for that when that hits the various outlets that we have this podcast out on, both on YouTube for the video version as well as all the audio kind of like formats of like Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all those other different places that you can probably listen to. You can all check it out at the Last Minute Continue website with all the different kind of like portals in there. So with that all said, I've been John Turbo Finley. You can find me on social medias at TurboXLR. Pete, where can people find you?
On the internet.
In place.
Specifically?
Behind curtains.
I've said all of my socials more than enough. People know where to find me. Otherwise, on YouTube and in the description, you'll be able to find stuff because Kevin's good at that sort of thing.
Follow him at TurboXLR on Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah, also that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Kevin, you can.
Same thing at the Kevin Eva or at Last Minute Continue for Last Minute Continue or at Faces in Peril for the three of us for a Last Minute Kick Out.
And with that hastily wrapped up, we will see you next time for another cursed edition of LMKO. Bye-bye.
Okay.